boyfriend, a guy friend, was falsely accused. It his life, and all of a sudden it came out. And I hated that bitch.
Everything that's been said about me has been either, it's all based on a true story, right? Now, I have admitted in the past that I myself have had some crazy bitch moments.
People with good intentions don't need to remind you all the time they have good intentions. The loudest people usually have the most to hide.
Not to toot my own horn, but beep the fucking beep. I am so kind to people in my life.
But one of her older sisters, Charissa, is accusing Gabbie of stealing her artwork and using it for her poetry book without crediting her.
I accept my criticism from talented, smart people, not abusive, toxic, exploitative bullies on YouTube. I don't start anything with anyone.
Okay, let's talk about the destructive choices of Gabbie Hanna. Since the dawn of time, celebrities and influencers have been living their lives, spilling their tea, and airing their dirty laundry online whether you asked for it or not. From vitamins to makeup brushes and bigotry to inhumanity, a line has been drawn between what deserves a call for accountability and what is just a hot-ass dumpster fire mess that should be left for the streets. Now, we can argue semantics over what is drama versus serious, when it's right to go public, when it's not. But when it comes to sharing about behavior from massive celebrities and influencers that is inherently racist, misogynist, prejudiced, abusive, grooming, manipulative, power-hungry, trauma-induced, or just plain cruel, I draw the line. It's not drama, it's dangerous. So today we're gonna dive headfirst and balls deep into the wrecking ball that is Gabbie Hanna's behavior versus Jessi Smiles to answer the age-old question that, yeah, this has the entire internet in a tussle. But why?
I don't start anything with anyone. Yesterday, I went full fucking out on Twitter. I said that I was the worst person he's ever met in LA. She's an apologist. Yes, I'm a dramatic person. I don't feel embarrassed or like ashamed about that, and I'm gonna continue to do that. And I'm so sick of like the shit I hear that I've said or done, like coming back to me. I'm not gonna expose your private fucking DMs. I'm not gonna show you the facts and the evidence because I'm 29 fucking years old.
Objection, Your Honor. Can we clarify to the court?
And I'm not gonna sit down and make a video with screenshots exposing my bully. They're gonna be on the screen if you want to pause or read them. On December 14th, 2017.
And then Gabbie, yet again, just starts sending private messages.
I'm not gonna show what I have right now because I don't wanna tip my hand. Because I'm collecting all of the data and the evidence.
Your time of hiding in the shadows, of behind the scenes, using people like pawns to do what you want and get the result that you want, it's done.
I'm drama seeking, right? I started drama. I just wanted to done. Ah! I guess people just don't like me.
Oh, hi there. Hello, hi. It's my face again. So this is a challenging topic to dive into, as you can imagine, not only because it deals with sensitive topics, but also just because it's very complex and confusing. Really, I just want to punch people in the balls when I think about this. Now, as per usual, I am going to break this down into 3 parts: the troubling past of Gabbie Hanna and Jessi Smiles, the art of gaslighting and manipulation, and the destructive path of non-apologists. And you know what, just for good measure, we'll toss in a side order of blackmail, threats, and how to move beyond the bullshit, because let's be real, there's a lot of bullshit in life, and if we don't move beyond it, we stay smelling like shit, you know what I mean? Let's continue. Everyone say hi to Miss Blueberry. Oh, she's very sleepy, but she has a sweater on and is very cute. So y'all know I'm currently fostering Bill Farrell and her 6 kittens, aka the billing department. Hi, honey. So they're all available for adoption, and you can DM me for more info on their Instagram account at Bill Farrell. And also, please don't leave me lonely. Are you following me on Instagram? Are you following me on Instagram? I'm gonna post this photo, so leave me a comment with the unicorn emoji. Okay, you are so sleepy. I'm gonna put Blueberry down. Now, real quick before we dive headfirst and balls deep, we have an amazing, delicious sponsor, HelloFresh, who I am so excited to partner with, as well well as a charity. So HelloFresh is America's #1 meal kit that delivers easy to follow recipes and fresh, pre-measured ingredients ready to cook right to your front door. No time wasted, no food wasted. Like, I don't know about y'all, but I totally sucked at cooking and like low-key kind of hated it. Actually, now that I think about it, I probably hated it because I sucked at it. But this last year, like with the pandemic shutting everything down, I completely stopped eating out and was doing delivery, which is just not budget friendly. Hi, I'm an adult now. Which is why HelloFresh was a game changer for me. It is the perfect solution to getting new, delicious, healthy meals in my belly in like 30 minutes, or even 20 minutes with their quick and easy options. And this is all without having to go grocery shop, plan, or meal prep, which saves me so much time. And I did the math, it's actually cheaper than when I was doing it all myself. And when I say the food is delicious, I'd made this like breaded chicken with sweet potatoes one night and a burger with caramelized onions and grilled potatoes the next, and girl, it was ridiculously good. And I didn't know nothing about glazing and caramelizing some onions, but your girl is a 5-star chef now. So there are tons of recipes to choose from each week, including many low-carb, carb-smart, vegetarian, and pescatarian options, and it's super flexible. You can add extra dinners or lunches to your weekly order, easily change your delivery days or food preferences, or skip a week whenever you want, and it's all very sustainable. The packaging is almost entirely recyclable. So if you want the joy of skipping the grocery shopping and meal prep and have delicious meals delivered to your door, go to HelloFresh.com and use code SWOOP12 to get 12 free meals, including free shipping. That's actually a really great deal. So again, go to HelloFresh.com, use code SWOOP12 to get 12 free meals and free shipping. You'll love it, I promise. Thank me later. So I will be donating proceeds from the sponsorship and ad revenue to REIN, which is the nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization, to help those in need. And just so you guys know, your support, like just by watching these docs and like clicking to check out HelloFresh, helps me, it like helps us to be able to continue to help protect survivors, because I can make these types of donations. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, back to the show.
I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't feel like I absolutely had to.
Now, as we all know, the platform here can be set off by certain words, so I unfortunately have to abbreviate some things. So I will say SA or SAers when referencing sexual assault and survivors, and R or R word when referencing rape. As you likely already know, Jessi Smiles and Gabbie Hanna are creators and influencers, getting their start on Vine and moving to YouTube. In 2013, Jessi started publicly dating another influencer, Curtis Lepore, who was at one point the top 7 biggest Viners, and in August of 2018, Jessi and Curtis had broken up but were still talking, and as she explains, one night after she suffered a concussion, he took her to his place and assaulted her in her sleep. I don't want to go into any more details on that as it's not my story to tell, just to give you guys some context. So Curtis was arrested in October 2013 and released on bail, and a TMZ article came out in January 16 of 2014 reporting about the arrest, which like made this whole thing public. I mean, literally Curtis, who later took a plea deal and was found guilty of felony assault. Curtis actually posted on Twitter the day the article came out, "Wow, TMZ, it all makes sense now. Let the second publicity stunt begin." He was basically saying that Jessi, the survivor of this, that Jessi was doing this as a publicity stunt. The lies and deceit, people. Miss Liza Minnelli has entered the building. Now Gabbie. So this is the same day that Gabbie Hanna decides to enter the chat. On the day that the TMZ article came out, Curtis not only tweeted calling it a publicity stunt, but he also tweeted, "There are 2 sides to every story," and Gabbie liked the tweet in support of him. She supported the abuse. Cool. She also tweeted a whole myriad of things about Vine on that day, and comments about beware, beware, a woman with a broken heart.
I hadn't seen the article yet. Beware, beware, beware of a woman with a broken heart.
Now, as you can imagine, these tweets are deleted, but people discovered these and accused Gabbie of being an R-word apologist. Now, regardless of all this, months after the assault, Gabbie and Jessi become best friends, and at some point they have a falling out, but for some reason, a random fan subtweeted something that Gabbie didn't like, and this is like in 2019. For some reason, Gabbie decided to DM this random fan and started dragging Jessi, claiming that Gabbie was the victim and that Jessi owed her an apology, and she even sent private texts from Jessi to this random fan. So all of those DMs were then sent to Jessi, and Jessi was clearly hurt by all of this. So in November 2019, Jessi made a video and posted it on YouTube. Gabbie then posted a response video months later in May 2020, followed by an onslaught of cruel, aggressive, shaming videos attacking Jessi.
All of these people for what they've done to me.
So in June of this year, like a week ago, BuzzFeed came out with a lengthy profile article in which the writer sat down with Gabbie to interview her. And in the profile, Gabbie brings up, again, after all these years, Jessi's trauma. Who didn't I apologize to? I gave Jessi Smiles an apology. I gave Beyonce an apology. It feels like I'm always dishing out apologies, and I've never once received one, and that to me feels a little chaotic. So we see this trend of Gabbie wanting people that she's wronged to apologize to her. But what people didn't know was that Gabbie and Jessi had a recorded phone call that both of them consented to in June of 2020, and upon seeing the BuzzFeed article, which had the audacity to bring up Jessi's trauma, because of this article, Jessi put out a Twitter video of the phone call to set things straight.
I didn't even know you spoke to him all these times. I'm finding out now, and honestly, I'm frankly disgusted.
I'm not doing a blow by blow of it, but in the call, Jessi finds out that Gabbie went to a party Curtis was at, and that she listened to Curtis tell his side of what happened.
Don't tell me that, because I just had a panic attack hearing you say that you heard him out.
He said, do you mind if I tell you the story of that night? And I said, I mean, yeah, that's fine. Like, I've heard her side. You can tell me yours. Like, literally.
I didn't even know that he told you the story of the night I was I never knew that.
Yeah, so he told me the story.
Why would you listen to him?
So imagine your once best friend hanging out with the person who assaulted you.
And then he said, okay, well, now you at least know it from my side. I said, okay, I'm never going to publicly bash you.
And allowing him to tell his side of the story and replying, don't worry, I won't publicly bash you. The confessed and convicted assaulter. Cool, got it. Now I do want to make it clear, ordinarily I would not feel comfortable sharing that part of the video, but because Jessi posted it and it's important to understand just how harmful this type of gaslighting is, I'm leaving in a snip.
And I'm not gonna sit down and make a video with screenshots exposing my bullies. These are bullies.
Now, as I said before, I know tons of people have shared thoughts on all of this, and most of that focus is centered around Gabbie lying. Like, she hung out with Curtis, like took selfies with him, hung out with his friends, had a FaceTime phone call with him, and so on, which are valid things to discuss. But I want to talk about threats and the power dynamic, as this happens far too often with celebrities and influencers and is something to watch out for. So here is what happened at the end of the video that Jessi posted.
Obviously, people are going to keep asking me about it, and like, if it's not going to happen, then I need to like continue doing what I'm doing. And I also want you to work on a public statement, and then we can work on it together. I want a public apology that should never have been made public.
That's not gonna happen, so I understand.
Okay, so then we keep going.
I'm not doing anything with you.
Gabbie essentially threatens Jessi that if Jessi doesn't draft an apology and send it to Gabbie to approve it, then we keep going.
Like, this is not, you say we keep going.
Keep going then.
And she followed up the vocal threat right after with a text message recapping her threats and demands in writing.
This isn't me trying to like hurt you or threaten you in any way. Like, this is not do this or it's gonna happen. Like, I mean, I guess it kind of is.
Okay, first of all, okay, I'm sorry. I'm gonna have to take this to Petty University real quick. Classes in session. I don't know what in the Doja Cat space alien bran muffin universe we're living in, but generally, if you're going to be so daft as to threaten someone, don't do it in a recorded phone call you consented to and put it in writing. Like, we're throwing threats around every 3 to 5 business days now. Is that it? You know. That's a terrible move, hun. I mean, so I heard. Okay, sorry, I just had to get that off my chest. Class dismissed. I'll read a few parts of it. Just wanted to put the points of the call in writing so there's no confusion when speaking to your lawyer. My favorite part. In order for me to move on from this and let it be in the past and stop talking about it, it would need. So here's her list of demands to stop talking about and re-traumatizing a survivor over their assault. A mutually approved public apology. We can discuss what that would entail. An NDA. Delete all videos mentioning or insinuating something about me, especially the last two. This is optional and just a suggestion, but I think it would be really amazing if you donated all the money from that first video to a charity dealing with survivors. I'll gladly match that donation. So again, on the day that Gabbie sends this text message to Jessi, she uploads that podcast calling Jessi all of those names, making good on the threats, makes that statement about bullies, and then turns bullies into a t-shirt that she profits off of, but she wants Jessi to donate any money that Jessi made off of telling her own survival story, and Gabbie can profit off. We'll keep reading. This is the compromise I can come up with since we're trying to settle it without continuing the online insanity. If you don't like the idea, then we can just continue on how we are. I'm open and prepared for either.
I still have to clear my name, so I have to like keep doing this.
You are narcissistic abusers. And you have been for 6 years, Jessi Smiles. I have to keep that in.
Gabbie said the only way that she would stop posting it is if Jessi publicly apologizes to Gabbie's approval, signs an NDA, deletes all videos mentioning Gabbie, and donates money. This is how Gabbie apparently defines a compromise, by making demands, offering nothing in return, and threats. Like, imagine telling an actual survivor that you're going to keep forcing them to relive their trauma until the actual survivor apologizes to you for the shit that you did. That, my friends, is gaslighting. It's power abuse and blackmail. And if you're ever in a position like this, from a partner, a friend, a boss, a teacher, a parent, literally come from anyone, here is a definition to consider. Blackmail is an act of coercion using the threat of revealing or publicizing either substantially true or false information about a person or people unless certain demands are met. It is often damaging information and may be revealed to family members or associates rather than to the general public. If someone is holding something over your head, especially in situations where you have been the victim of something traumatic, and they're threatening to out you or bash you or withhold your pay if it's a job or tarnish your grades as a teacher or harm your relationships and tell you that they won't stop unless you give them something they're demanding, that's called blackmail, and in many circumstances it's illegal. It seems that Gabbie is actively pursuing and attacking vulnerable victims like Jessi, or like the Rachel Oates thing that we saw, and attacking at calculated, unexpected times and using the media like BuzzFeed to push these calculated attacks to millions, and weaponizing Gabbie's audience so that she can perhaps like promote her projects and also paint herself as a victim in the aftermath of her own warpath. I never start drama to support stuff, but if there is drama, I will capitalize on that opportunity to promote something. I'm going to take advantage of a moment. And the author says, indeed, she started releasing new music a few weeks after reigniting this fight. And we even saw that in the podcast where she was shouting about high school bullies.
These are bullies. These are high school fucking bullies.
That became like a meme a zillion times over, and she literally turned that into a t-shirt that she sells for like $25, literally profiting off of attacking an SA survivor and bullying other people.
And then in that video, we're talking about Jessi Smiles now. She says she doesn't regret what she did because she had to speak her truth. Why fucking speaking my truth? You are narcissistic abuser, and you have been for 6 fucking years, Jessi Smiles. I have to keep that in.
And the thing is, if you break it down, you see that Gabbie actually made good on these threats. Like, if we look at the timeline, we know that Jessi posted her video about Gabbie in November 2019, and Gabbie posted her response in May 2020. This phone call happened a month later in June of 2020, where Gabbie made threats to keep going, and she did.
And you have been for 6 fucking years, Jessi Smiles. I have to keep that in.
And the most intense part, which I haven't heard anyone talk about or connect the dots here, is that the podcast Gabbie posted where she screams calling Jessi a narcissistic abuser.
You are narcissistic abuser.
Was posted the same day as the phone call.
And then in that video, we're talking about Jessi Smiles now. She says she doesn't regret what she did because she had to speak her truth.
I shit you not. Jessi notes that the day of the call was June 22nd, 2020. And when you look at the hour-long podcast that Gabbie posted, it was posted on June 22nd, 2020. I don't know how much clearer this type of aggressive, calculated, strategic intimidation could be. And like, again, this is just my interpretation. Now, let's look at this article again. If you're a Gabbie Hanna fan, then you likely believe that she's just really savvy, in total control of her image, and using the villain role as a way to sell records, boost book sales, and jumpstart other projects. She doesn't disagree. I might as well do whatever the fuck I want, cause guess what? The views are up. You're going to listen to the fucking album because it's about the shit that you guys want to hear about. You're going to watch my series. You're going to read my book. You're going to fucking obsess over every movie that I do. You're going to fucking pay for my Patreon to see my private content. She has nothing to lose. I finally feel like I'm in control. It's a lot easier to cope with people hating you when you're fanning the flames. And the thing is, she's not wrong. People keep investing, keep supporting the behavior, keep buying the products and watching the content, and it's twisted, but she's also not wrong about that. So let's now like zoom out to a more global like human condition. When you take a look at characteristics of narcissism, like manipulation and gaslighting, and this is not a diagnosis of anyone in particular, if a person is creating the problem or feeding it, but is simultaneously complaining about being the victim of it, that's a problem. Some people may exacerbate very traumatic or like even lesser dramatic situations for a reaction because they need a reaction to feel seen or valid. And often these types of people need for you to react negatively. Like they want you to react and then they cry about you reacting negatively so that you can react to them reacting to your reaction. Like I know it all sounds like the Twilight Zone, but I hope this all makes sense. Class dismissed. Most often it's all strategic and calculated, and that's what makes it so dangerous. It's baiting in a way, and they bait you into an outrage so that their name is trending so that they can sell products. I mean, Piers Morgan is like the poster child for this kind of baiting stuff.
No.
Sorry, no. Sorry.
Do you know what? That's pathetic.
You get traffic, maybe not mine.
No.
See you later.
I'm being...
Sorry, can't do
This
this.
is absolutely diabolical behavior.
And shit, even me sitting here talking about this, like even though I'm trying to deep dive for the purposes of identifying harmful behavior, but even me or anyone talking about it at all in some way boosts their brand. So it's a vicious cycle, right? Like don't talk about these topics, don't call for accountability, and they keep hurting people. Do talk about it and they capitalize on it and make more money. So what do? Pause for reaction.
They push people to their edge. They corner them. They isolate them.
Don't tell me that, because I just had a panic attack hearing you say that you heard him out.
Now, I want to discuss a few of the nuances of the phone call that appear to be manipulation tactics that I think many people have been harmed by in similar situations. It is extremely perplexing to me why, in several instances, Gabbie needed to mention that she would not publicly bash Curtis.
And then he said, okay, well, now you at least know it from my side. I said, okay, I'm never going to publicly bash you.
It seems to me that if Gabbie was tweeting things about what an honor it is to be mentioned in the same sentence as Curtis, and liking tweets defending him, and listening to his story and excuses when he himself issued a statement saying he never had verbal consent, why is it so important to make it known that she wouldn't publicly speak against him? Because she had no problem publicly bashing Jessi, the survivor. So if you're willing to bash the victim, manipulate the victim with threats, but don't have that same energy for the convicted abuser, then like what's the end game? Pause for reaction. You know, just on a personal note, I had a family member very recently tell me that it was my fault for being assaulted and that I got what I deserved because I wasn't physically strong enough to fight them off. People say vile, abhorrent shit to survivors all the time. But I want you to know, just because they're family or friends, like, doesn't make them right. It just makes them disgusting. And unless they're willing to change, they're just not worth your time. Remember, it is not your fault, period. Now, there was another moment in the call I haven't seen discussed. Gabbie started telling a story of some like nebulous guy friend who she claims was falsely accused of R-word.
One of my friends, like a guy friend, was falsely accused, and it his life, and all of a sudden it came out that it was false, and all of a sudden it came out that it was false.
All of a sudden it came out that you, and then she stops herself and shifts what she was saying to say that it was false.
And all of a sudden it came out that
I keep getting stuck on that. This mysterious guy friend who was falsely accused could actually be Curtis, which would mean she's implying Jessi was lying and made a false accusation. And Gabbie even mentioned in the call, which was weird to me, she said to Jessi, everyone thought you were lying.
Okay, Jessi.
Yeah.
You do understand, and I know that you know this.
Mm-hmm.
When that story dropped, every single person was saying that you lied.
Are you kidding me? Is that your justification?
Why, after all of these years, bring that up? And then this, what feels like a slip of the tongue to me. Now, of course, I have absolutely no idea if my interpretation is correct, but when considering the chain of events here, Gabbie liking Curtis's tweet, saying there are two sides to the story, saying it's an honor to be mentioned in the same tweet as him, saying how kind of him it was to call her, taking selfies with him after the assault, hanging out with him at a party, listening to his side of the story, promising not to publicly bash him while proceeding to bash Jessi. It all sounds like Gabbie was taking his side, that she believed him, the confessed abuser, over her former best friend. And you know, this isn't new, bitch, we ain't brand new to this. There's actually a long-standing history of people, by default, blaming and shaming victims and siding with abusers instantly. I have experienced it myself. I came across this fascinating article on Vox titled, R-Word and Sexual Assault are common, so why don't we believe victims? R-word is incredibly common. About 1 in 5 women experience SA, and false reports are rare, 2 to 8%. So if a woman comes forward about being assaulted, Occam's razor suggests she's probably telling the truth. So much for Gabbie's whole theory that girls have cried abuse thousands of times in her neighborhood. Yeah. She actually tweeted that. Let's continue. But our tendency as a society is to assume the opposite, that any explanation other than R-word, however implausible, must be the correct one. Did she willingly go somewhere alone with her attacker or wear provocative clothing? She must have wanted it. Is her attacker famous or well loved? She must be lying to get attention. Was she literally unconscious? Who knows? Maybe she woke up for a while and said it was okay. It gives This is the reality that we're in, guys. It goes on to say, we often don't want to do the work of reevaluating our personal heroes or accepting that a powerful man who is a pillar of the community or a world-renowned artist or even the leader of the free world could secretly be a monster. We are even less willing to do that work if someone we know or love is accused, if you can imagine that. If a man has friends, admirers, and social status, he also has a defense against R-word and a claim to sympathy in the public eye. And this is something I experienced when I shared on Twitter about being assaulted by Ron Jeremy, and another friend of mine, same thing. People default to believing the celebrity or the person with more followers or more power before they're willing to believe the actual survivor. I mean, just take a look at the response Curtis got when he blasted the TMZ article that outed his arrest. The article just merely reported the facts that he was in fact arrested, yet his Twitter is flooded with comments. Oh, we love you, Curtis. Stay strong, Curtis. You're my favorite Viner, Curtis. And what happened to Jessi at the time? Death threats for coming forward. This is why survivors are afraid to tell their stories, and I don't know what the solution is. Protection for victims? It's not likely. There aren't the resources. Actually, wait, you know what? I do have the solution. How about people like Curtis stop assaulting people? That would be a good solution, wouldn't it? But what do I know? Now, I do think another important consideration is just how dangerous and terrifying threats like this can be, especially when there's a clear power dynamic going on. Power is a person's ability to exert influence and control. Power dynamics describes how power affects a relationship between two or more people. Power affects all aspects of social life, from the workplace to the home, but if a person abuses their power, it has the capacity to do great harm. We have to remember that Gabbie Hanna and Curtis have a distinct power over Jessi in the simple fact that Gabbie has way more followers and subscribers. Currently, Gabbie has over 5.6 million subscribers on YouTube, 2.4 million on Twitter, and 2.9 million on Instagram, compared to Jessi's 970,000 on YouTube, 250,000 on Twitter, and 413,000 on Instagram. That is a huge difference when it comes to the power Gabbie can yield over Jessi in the form of weaponizing her significantly larger audience. When you hold this type of power over someone, threaten them with it, and follow through on those threats, it can be incredibly debilitating, traumatic, and terrifying for the real victims who cannot protect themselves the same way. And bitch, look, listen, I don't know what in the gluten-free bread is going on around here, but people just love to refuse to take accountability for the bullshit that they perpetuate. Are celebrities and influencers on like a special diet of fruit salad and deflection? Because a bitch is confused at this point. When you have a public figure like Gabbie continually bringing this up and attacking the survivor, it perpetuates criticism and focus on their relationship, her and Jessi, and takes the focus off of Curtis, the source of the problem, and basically allows him to slide out the back door while everyone focuses on these women's feud, as they call it. Girls have long since been conditioned to be in competition with each other and attack each other as enemies instead of unifying against the real threat. While all of this back and forth is happening, and I get why, everyone has lost sight of the fact that there is an actual guy who R-worded a girl, admitting in writing he didn't have consent, and remained on all platforms and got movie deals, sponsors, fans, and influence because the attention deflected to Gabbie. As painful and awful as these instances are, I don't want to lose sight of what the worst of all of this really is. The thing is, when it comes to what happened to Jessi or any survivor, it's not Gabbie's story to tell. And it's not her story to tell journalists 7 years after the fact and counting. It never was. It never is, and it never will be. The truth of the matter is, most SA survivors do not come forward because of fear, shock, denial, or shame. Like fear of the abuser and what they might do, fear of the legal system failing, shock that it even happened to them, which leads to denial or shame. Shame that somehow they think they brought this on themselves. Speaking from experience, again, my experience is the only lens I have here, it is one of the darkest, most terrifying, most traumatic things a person could go through, and I wouldn't wish that trauma, which can last a lifetime, on anyone. So let me make one thing clear. It is not your fault. It was never your fault. This is not your burden, it's the abuser's. If you never come forward, I understand, and that's okay. If you do come forward, I understand, and that's okay. You need to put your needs and healing first, however that needs to happen, and remind yourself every day if you have to, it is not your fault. I will never stop saying that to you. It is not your fault, period. And I'll leave it at that. Okay, who do we have here? Everyone say hi to Miss Adorable. Oh, we just woke up for a nap and now we want to go play with all the toys. So don't forget to follow me on Instagram so I'm not lonely over there, and comment on this photo with a unicorn emoji so I know that you came from this video. Got a couple of Twitter shout outs to Embolism, who said, why did I have to wait decades to hear someone put it so bluntly and speak so truthfully? And shout out to Stariana, who said, adults dating minors is abuse, period. Living through it is shit. You'll never get me to say otherwise no matter who you are. Love your takes on the Chrissy Teigen doc, and I totally agree with you guys. Okay, you can go play with the toys. Thank you for helping me. If you want to be in my next Twitter shout out, just retweet this video, and please be sure to check out HelloFresh by following my link and go to hellofresh.com and use code SWOOP12 to get 12 free meals. You know, whether you're comfortable sharing your experience or not, I do hope you find healing and peace, and I hope that for Jessi and Gabbie as well. And as far as celebrities and influencers abusing their audience or the people in their life and what to do in these situations, the obvious solution is usually the simplest. Stop supporting it. Simple. If we don't give it the likes, subscribes, and shares, it no longer has the power. But you know what? What do I know? I'm just a girl on the internet.